Looking at the new infotainment system that you're going to find inside of the Lincoln Navigator. This is a part of the equation because you've got this smaller screen down the middle, but up over top you've got this wild 48-inch full wraparound screen. With the left half, I would say, designated more towards your traditional cluster screen, with the right-hand side having 3 individual widgets that can be customized right through the infotainment system here. So let's dive in. I'm going to show you everything that you need to know about this screen. You've got your time along the very top. If you were to tap it, that's going to put you into your time options where you can adjust that out. You've got your home icon, a series of different settings. There's a hot button tray to get to, a series of other options. You can tap this in order to customize the widgets on the right part of that wraparound screen. You've got all of your climate control settings built into the screen there too. But one nice thing is that you can hit the voice command prompt on the steering wheel. Change the fan speed to 2.
Okay, changing the fan.
So you can adjust out your climate using your voice, heated, ventilated seats, etc., all controlled using your voice. I know some people aren't crazy about the idea of all of your climate control settings being built in, but like I said, adjust it using your voice if you'd like to. The buttons along the outside there are locked into place along the outside here. So you've got your maps, so it's Google-based operating system, which means Google Maps is your default option there. You can tap here in order to be able to set up your Lincoln Way app so you can connect later, but then you're setting up an individual profile here. So one of the big benefits, you can lock in your key fob if you've adjusted your driver's seat and so many other things. So if there are multiple people driving the vehicle, I absolutely recommend setting up an individual profile for however many people you'd like. If you ever get any messages on the screen, swipe away in order to get rid of them. Along the outside here, you can tap in order to see if there are any notifications that were available. You can also see what your connection level is, location, and then tapping here in order to get to all of your exterior or interior lighting. But let's dive into the screen because there are so many things that you need to know. The first one, let's start off with using Maps. So this is Google Maps, so you'd be able to use it the way that you would on your phone. You can search this way if you'd like to, so easily search using GPS coordinates, so latitude first, longitude second. You can also use your voice. Navigate to Tim Hortons.
There's a Tim Hortons 0.6 kilometers away. Navigate to that one.
So you can select any of those. If you ever get this message, just tap, because that won't go away otherwise, but you can select any of the available options here. So let's just choose one that's a little bit further away. If there were multiple ways that you could get to that destination, it would let you know. So if you tap this, if there were different routes, we've only got that single route available. You can add in an additional stop or tap start. And when you do that, you've got your turn-by-turn directions that show up in the map right there. Beautiful. From here, you've got the option of seeing if there were other routes available. If they were, you can tap this in order to avoid highways, toll roads, ferries, things like that, so different route options. You can search for additional stops, so maybe you wanted to fill up on fuel as well too. You could look to see what's available and then just tap any of these options. And from there, let's go ahead and add in the stop. So you've got stopping at the gas station, and from there, hitting the check mark is going to get you to go. You can search for other addresses or tap this in order to see your route details, swiping down to edit your stops. So maybe you wanted to grab a coffee before you filled up on gas. You could do that. You could also get rid of one of these routes. So maybe you didn't want to go to the gas station anymore. Tap the X icon and then done in order for your stop to go. Really simple here. You can add an additional stop if you'd like to, hit exit out there in order to go, and then you can tap the exit button there in order to get rid of that route. If you wanted to, you could swipe away in order to be able to delete any addresses that you've searched for. You've got point of interest icons. You can tap there to search using your voice. You can hit here in order to show traffic, 3D options, route options, so avoiding highways, toll roads, and ferries. There's also offline maps. So if you're going somewhere that you know you're not going to end up having an active connection, you'd be able to download maps preemptively so that you can still use navigation. Recenter it back on you. You could mute out notifications, so if you just want to get alerts when you're coming to an upcoming turn, you could get everything, so you can get your turn-by-turn alerts, etc., or nothing happens there whatsoever. You could hit this in order to change out your perspective, so north view, etc. There's full pinch to zoom capabilities. You could zoom in and out this way too. Recenter, and then just push up here in order to get that map going again. You can also tap here and then sign into your Google account. So if you've been using your phone and you've been signed into your Gmail account on Google Maps, any address that you've searched for if you've signed in would be pulled directly into the vehicle. It's a phenomenal system the way it works, but that's using navigation. It's one of the benefits of using Google Maps is it's so easy to use, which means next up is going to be adding in a phone. So let's start off on the iPhone side of things. What you're going to do, you've got Bluetooth here, and there we go. Just waiting for that to show up. You've got other devices showing up here. PIN numbers match up, so let's go ahead and pair. This is not my car, but do you want to allow access to contacts and favorites to sync up? If it was yours, you could say yes there, and boom, we're connected. 911 assist is here too. I definitely recommend enabling, because if you're in a major accident, it can automatically dial 911 for you. From there, you can change different settings. Just hit continue there and okay. And then you're set to go here. So you're connected over Bluetooth, so you can make phone calls, and then you can also stream audio. But you've also got wireless Apple CarPlay available inside of this ride. So you're just going to tap on, use CarPlay, strictly wireless, so there's no wired connection available inside of this ride. Just tap Start CarPlay, and a few seconds in, boom, we are fully connected. You can tap here in order to get to your little icon tray, and then you can also hit there in order to get to your little home screen here. Now, the home screen of CarPlay is kind of customizable. So you've always got your maps that were last opened, search box, and then the audio box here. If you had a calendar notification coming up today that hasn't passed yet, that would show up there. Otherwise, the search box and your media box would be stretched across there. On the outside, you can tap the little arrows there in order to go into a fuller screen CarPlay, back into your kind of little split view there. And then for CarPlay, you've got your current time, connection, battery levels, which map was open last, audio application, and miscellaneous. Tapping there gets you back to this screen. You can kind of customize the screen here. You can go to driving focus. You can adjust out your wallpaper. So maybe you have a color scheme that works better for you. You'd be able to set that in. So you can kind of customize it a bit. Now, let's say if you can't even get to this point because CarPlay's not connecting, check down in the description of this video. I've put together a little walkthrough explaining how you can add CarPlay in and fix it if it's giving you problems. Now, on top of that, there's a voice command prompt that you can hit on the steering wheel. If you do a light button push, that's going to be the assistant for the vehicle. But if you do a long button push and hold, that is going to activate your Siri assistant. So short button push is the one for the vehicle, long is for your phone assistant instead. Then you can also customize the icon layout here if you'd like to. So what you're going to do on your phone, you're going to go into your settings, general, and then CarPlay. Just find your vehicle. So you've got the Lincoln Navigator. You can forget it, customize, or turn CarPlay off. So if we were to go ahead and customize, you'd be able to move these icons around. So maybe you're a bigger fan of having ways along the top. You can easily adjust these out. Anything with a minus next to it, you'd be able to fully remove it from the screen. So we hop over here, start deleting icons, you can see that they remove. It saves it along the bottom of your phone though, so if you wanted to add it back in, you could. But if you've played around with the layout too much and you really don't like what you've done, along the top right side of your phone, there's a little reset option. So you tap reset, reset, and that just brings you back to that factory default layout. You could go back to the home screen there if you'd like to. You could hit here in order to launch back into CarPlay, or just over Bluetooth. You can hit the icon there to hop back into CarPlay that way. Pretty simple. If you, actually let's go back home for a second here. Actually go into our vehicle settings, full settings, and then you've got Bluetooth. So we've got the iPhone that's been connected for CarPlay. So if you wanted to continue to be connected for CarPlay, you could. You can disconnect if you just wanted to be hooked up for phone calls, for media, etc. So if we just want to be hooked up for phone calls, you can do that. So CarPlay is now disconnected. And then if you tap here, you can also disconnect it, forget it. You can do an auto reconnect. You can get your media audio and things like that. Simple. But that's how you set up Apple devices inside of the Navigator. Setting up Android devices is pretty simple inside of this ride. If you weren't on the Bluetooth screen, if you were back home, all you're going to do, if there was no phone connected, you can hit that. You can hit here in order to look at your Bluetooth settings, and then we've got this screen. You're just going to tap Add Device. And then on your phone, you're just waiting for Lincoln Navigator to show up. And let's go ahead and tap to connect. Oh, happens sometimes. If it does, just give it a sec. Perfect. PIN numbers there match up, and let's just hit OK and pair. So disconnected the one phone, and you can stop here, but you've got additional messages. Do you want all access to contacts and messages? Not my car, but if it's yours, you could say yes there. And you can stop, so you can say no to Android Auto if you'd like to, so you're connected over Bluetooth at least for phone calls and for audio, but you've got wireless Android Auto, so it's kind of like, why wouldn't you do that? As you can see there, boom, we are fully connected. So you can see along the outside, you've got your maps, CBC along the very bottom. You can see your icon tray. You can button push here in order to get into the assistant for your phone. Now, since the main infotainment is Google-based, you've got your Google Assistant for both. So if you do a light button push, that's going to be the assistant for the vehicle. Long button push on the steering wheel brings up the assistant for your phone. So a little bit confusing when it's Google-based, but I mean, simple at the same time. You can tap here in order to get back to the split screen. And then if you wanted to go full screen maps, you just tap this. That brings you to full screen maps. Full pinch to zoom capabilities here, which is not available on iPhones. You can hit here to get back to this view, tap again to get to your icon view, and then along the very bottom, you've got basic icons with your connection and battery levels. Now, on top of that, if you have Waze installed on your phone, but Waze isn't showing up whatsoever, check down in the description of this video. I've put together a little walkthrough explaining how to add Waze to devices and then set it up if it's not working. But you've also got the option of customizing the layout of the icons. So on your phone, if you search for Android Auto, go to your Android Auto settings, you've got so many options, but we're looking for Customize Launcher. So if you tap Customize Launcher, you've got all of your different icons. So anything with a check mark next to it, you can remove it from the screen if you'd like to, or add it back in. But if you do a drag and drop, you'd be able to customize the layout of the icons, but it's not dynamic. So for these changes to come into effect, what you want to do, hop back into your settings, Bluetooth settings. All you're going to do is disconnect from Android Auto, reconnect to Android Auto, and when we launch in icon tray, the changes that we've made have now come into effect. So it's not dynamic, but you can at least customize it if you want to. Button push here is going to get you back to that little split screen. If you push again, you get back to the home screen, hopping back into Android Auto this way. And then if you tap on this, you've got Android Auto or your Bluetooth connections, or just go to Bluetooth settings. You've got Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. So you can either be hooked up to Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, not both, but you can do a mix and match. So if you wanted to be connected maybe to the Android for media, and you wanted to be connected for another phone, for phone calls, you can do that. So you can kind of do a mix and match either way if you'd like to. It's actually pretty neat. And then you could hop in order to adjust out settings for individual phones, or if you wanted to remove all phones, forget devices, forget, and look at that, a few seconds in and both phones have now been disconnected. But it's that easy setting up Android and iPhone devices inside of the Navigator. Hopping back home, you've got audio now. So if you tap here, you can see all of your available audio sources. So AM, FM, SiriusXM, etc. You've got a lot of options there. If you've got a USB stick with MP3s on there, or any audio file, it just wouldn't work with MP4s. So MP4s and video are not supported, but you can easily add in different sources there if you'd like to. If you tap in, that's going to launch this in. So you've got all of your available sources popping up here. You can tune to stations this way if you'd like. Enter in. If you wanted to, you can hit here in order to save a preset. And then you can also hit the voice command prompt, 94.9 FM.
Got it. This is 94.9 FM.
In order to be able to change stations that way. Once you've got presets set up, then you can also switch between them on the steering wheel, but it's pretty simple in order to be able to change stations using your voice. So you've got your different presets set up. You could deselect in order to get rid of the preset there. If you are on AM, let's just randomly add this one in. So you can see there, it's a mix, AM, FM, and we'll just choose a random SiriusXM station here too, and let's save that in. And then along the bottom, so SiriusXM is separate. So AM, FM are kind of grouped and lumped together, but SiriusXM is its own beast. So if we hop back into SiriusXM for a second, you've got start over. If we're listening to a library video, you can play pause. You can look at related, or if you tap this little icon, that's going to bring you up to this screen where that comes into play. If you're a big fan of the song or the artist, you can tap. And whenever that artist or that song plays on any SiriusXM station, you get a notification letting you know that that song is now playing. You can manage those stations if you'd like to, and done. It is really simple using this. And then you've got this along the very top. So if you've got SiriusXM, you can easily set yourself up there, but you can hit here in order to get to a series of other options for your sound. So you can adjust out your tone, your balance, fade, things like that. So your bass, mid-range, and treble. What I'd recommend here is play one of your favorite songs. And while that song is playing, adjust this until it sounds perfect for you. The audio system inside of this ride is fantastic, but play, like I said, play one of your favorites, adjust these out, But I mean, the audio you're going to get regardless is great. You can adjust out your balance and fade. You want it driver focused, rear focused, etc. Bring it back to the middle again. You've got speed compensated volume, so as you're going faster or slower, it can increase or decrease the audio for you automatically. So you've got some different volume settings for individual options. Finally, so you can adjust your audio volume, your prompts for navigation can be different, your phone calls and your call ring can all be set to different volumes. About time. You can adjust out the ringtone there too if you'd like something a little bit more unique. But that's using your sound settings inside of the ride. All right, and you've got drive modes that are available. So with your drive modes, you're going to be in normal to high the majority of the time. For auto, for light snowy conditions, Excite is your sport mode. So it's going to hang on to the RPMs in order to give you a way sportier performance. Conserve in order to get the best fuel economy. There's slippery, deep snowy conditions there too. So if it's snowing outside, you can go to any of these options. And then you can see here as you go, you can also see what's going on in your side mirrors there. And there's a slow climb mode too. So you're going to be in your too high the majority of the time, unless you want way better fuel economy. Oh, not way better, a little bit better. Then go to your conserve mode there. You've got the auto hold setting. With the auto hold setting enabled, if you come down to a complete stop, take your foot off the brake, the car is not going to move. Traction control, the only time you want to disable that is if you're getting wheel slippage and you're not getting good traction. There's hill descent control if you're going downhill, so you can just focus on the technical side of driving. There's driver memory too. So along the side of the seat, you'll be able to adjust your seat out. So you can move it forwards, backwards, up and down, adjust your backrest, and then you can hit the button here for multi-way lumbar support. But when you push that, you've also got massage chair seat capabilities. If you tap it again, you can then adjust different elements of your seat. So you'll be able to move in and adjust individual parts of the lumbar. You've also got your side seat bolsters that you can adjust in and make it hug your body a bit more. You can even go as far as individualizing each individual leg cushion inside of this ride. So if you wanted to really customize it and make it your own, you could. Then once you've got your seat set up the way that you'd like to, the next step would be pushing the button along the top part of the steering wheel here. When you do that, that's going to give you the flexibility of adjusting things out. So you can adjust your steering wheel forwards, backwards, up and down to find that perfect position. Back from there, you can adjust your side mirrors, so left, right, this way. You can also adjust your pedals, so you can move your pedals in or out that way. So once you've got everything set up this way, so using that pad and then moving your finger around, you're then going to just tap, save, in order to save it to your individual profile. If there were multiple profiles connected, you'd then be able to swap out to a different profile to lock it in, or you can restore it to your last saved position. So if somebody's hopped in and played with your settings, you can just restore it to the perfect position for you. There's a digital scent available now inside of this ride, so it holds up to 3 different cartridges, and that's just done inside of the armrest. You can toggle the scent off if you'd like to. Some of them are pretty nice. It can be a little overpowering in my opinion. From here, you can adjust out the seats, where you can adjust out the driver's seat if you'd like to, and also the second row seats. So if you wanted to move the second row seats forwards, backwards, adjust and massage too for the first row, or adjusting the second row seats, you've got that available as an option too. You can adjust out some things for your lighting for both exterior and interior lights. You're going to find a little bit of ambient light inside of the ride, but exterior lights, you've got all of these options. So you can hit this in order to get to it, but along the outside of the screen, you can also get into your lighting options that way. But where that comes into play, so you've got your different lighting options there. You're going to control all of your lights using the stalk along the left-hand side. So you've got your blinker here. Now watch this. This is a really cool new feature. So it utilizes the side-mounted cameras to show you what's going on in your blind spot, which is neat. But when you're in the regular headlamp mode, you can push away in order to lock your high beams on, pull towards you to turn them off. It's just that when you're in the auto mode, what the vehicle is going to do, if it recognizes the high beams are needed, it turns them on automatically. If somebody's oncoming, it's going to turn them off before turning them right back on again. But if you wanted to permanently lock your high beams out, go into that upper headlamp mode, and then just push away on the left stalk in order to be able to get those high beams going. You've got options for brightness. You can adjust the brightness of different parts of the screen if you'd like to. Hopping back into parental controls are available here too. So you'll be able to lock out the rear windows, or you can lock out the rear display. So if you've got the console set up with the display in the middle, you'll be able to lock it out so people in the middle can't use that, but they can control climate and a boatload of other things like heated, ventilated seats and so many other things. There's valet mode available. When you have valet mode set up, so you enter in a 4-digit number, people wouldn't be able to look through the screen. So very useful if you're dropping your vehicle off for valet driving or bringing it in for service. You don't want people looking through the screen. You can lock it out. You can see vehicle information, so tire pressure, vehicle oil life, etc. And then there are a series of different settings available. So we've already seen sound settings. You've got Bluetooth information available. So if phones were connected, that's where they'd show up. Then you've got driver assistance. Driver assistance, you've got cruise control. And there are 3 different types of cruise that you're going to find inside of this ride. So there's normal cruise, so your old school cruise control. So let's say if you set it at 80, car in front of you slows down, yours will not brake. With adaptive cruise control, if you have it set at 80, the car in front of you slows down, yours will brake. They change lanes, you change lanes, it's going to pick you back up to your previously set speed. And then there's Blue Cruise, which is full hands-free driving. Works on highways or interstates, but it is phenomenal. In order to actually be able to use the cruise control system, you use the pad along the left-hand side of the steering wheel. So you toggle it on by pushing the button there. And once you've got it turned on, you then push up to set your speed if you'd like to change. You can then push up or down to increase, decrease, 1 kilometer, 1 mile per hour at a time. Push and hold up or push and hold down in order to increase or decrease. So it'd be 10 kilometers an hour at a time or 5 miles per hour at a time. From there, you can hit the brake to cancel your speed. You'd hit the cancel button there to cancel your speed, and then the middle button to resume your previously set speed. And then there's also a distance indicator. So along the steering wheel, you tap this button, and when you do, that's going to give you this option. So you'd be able to then increase or decrease how close or far you are away from that leading vehicle. I'm personally okay on level 2, maybe level 1 the majority of the time, but you might feel more comfortable on one of these other levels. But there are 4 different options that are available there. You've got lane centering. So where this comes into play, you've got Blue Cruise, but then it's also for just regular roads. So if the vehicle recognizes the lane markings, keeps you perfectly balanced in your lane. With the Blue Cruise system though, if you don't have this system turned on, Blue Cruise is not going to work whatsoever. So that's a way that you could disable Blue Cruise. You'd also have the option of hitting the button along the very part of the steering wheel here, left pad. When you do that, that's going to turn that lane keeping system on or off. So if you've got the lane keeping system turned off, the Blue Cruise system wouldn't work, but neither would the lane keeping system. So we'll touch on lane keeping in a second here, but that's one way that you could also disable Blue Cruise. And then there's predictive speed assist. Based off of a tolerance level, so you're okay with going a little over the speed limit. But where this comes into play, let's say if the speed goes from 60 down to 50, it can automatically decrease your speed. If it goes from 50 up to 60, it can increase your speed. If you're going around a bend, it can actually slow you down too. I'm not a fan of this one, but I mean, it is available there as an option. You've got speed limit assist here too, so you can get a speed warning too and a speed adjustment. I'm same thing, not a fan, but if you're going too fast, you can get some dings and chimes. But then you've also got the lane keeping system. So that works 3 different ways. So way number 1 is an alert. So if you start to veer over into another lane without signaling, it vibrates the steering wheel almost as if you're running over rumble pavement. There's the aid, which is going to nudge you back into your lane. So you start veering over without signaling, nudges you back into your lane, and then the alert and the aid will do both. So get a little bit of a steering wheel vibration, and then it also nudges you back into your lane. You can toggle it off, but I mean, recommend keeping it on, especially if you're on the highway and you want to use the Blue Cruise system. And then the intensity is the intensity of that steering wheel vibration. There are all sorts of safety options. So disabling different things like evasive steering assist, emergency braking, rear view camera delay. So if you've got the rear view camera going and then you put yourself into drive, it's going to keep that rear camera going for a few seconds. But I love when you've got that camera going, so you've got your basic backup view there, and then you can also adjust out between different views. So you could just do a basic backup view. You can do a backup wide view. You've got your trailer view if you had a trailer connected, and then you've also got the available hitch view there too. If you are in park, there's a button just underneath the screen, and that's going to bring up your full 360 cam, and that's going to give you the flexibility of moving into front options, and then your side-by-side option there too. That's pretty neat. I just love that Lincoln has decided to introduce the blind spot system. So it utilizes the side-mounted cameras to show you what's going on in your blind spot. There's your blind spot system there too. So if somebody enters the blind spot on either side of the vehicle, it's going to highlight there in order to let you know that there's somebody in your blind spot. Trailer side view. So if you've got a trailer connected, it's going to extend out to cover the trailer. There's cross traffic alert. So if you're going to back up and somebody's coming perpendicular, so from the left or the right side, it's going to let you know of a collision. If you're backing up and there's something behind you, it can slam on the brakes for you. And then there's a driver alert. So if you start to veer over too many times without signal, if you're yawning, you look too tired, eventually the vehicle's going to tell you that you should probably take a break. There are a series of different vehicle settings available here too. So 30-minute max idle means that it's only going to idle for 30 minutes before it's going to turn the vehicle off. Rear occupant alert, if you've opened up the second row doors and then you shut them, turn the vehicle off after a drive, it's going to let you know to check the back seats. So you can get an alert and a horn, an alert, nothing. Is there a child seat installed? Yay or nay. So very good from a general safety perspective. Options for lighting. So this is where you're going to go for your auto high beam. So make sure you've got that enabled, because with that enabled, when you're in the auto mode, the vehicle recognizes those high beams are needed. It's going to flip them on automatically. Where were we there? Lighting. There we go. And then you've also got your auto lamp delay. So when you go to lock the vehicle, do the lamps just turn off or do they stay on for up to 2 minutes? But yeah, the auto high beam, pretty useful setting there. Key detection, nothing exciting there. Easy entry exit. Approach detection means that it's going to back the seat up for you to get in and out of the vehicle a little bit more. So for the seat, etc. Power running boards are available. So auto means that it's going to lower or raise the running boards for you automatically. You can permanently lock them out so they're always down, or you can turn it off. Where I'd recommend keeping them out is in snowy conditions. So if you're getting snow like crazy, keep those puppies down all the time. So you just want to lock yourself out there. There's the option for windows where you'd be able to use the key fob in order to roll the windows down. Late availability, there should be the option for remote close too. If that's available, you just toggle it on, but there's that one, and then there's remote start. So let's actually hop outside and I'll show you how remote start and all of these features work. So in order to remote start, what you're going to do is hit the lock button once and the circle button twice. So you're just going to go lock, circle twice. That's going to remote start. To cancel the remote start, push and hold that circle button again. You can open up the liftgate from the key fob. So you're just going to double push, and that's going to open up top and the bottom there. And then you could double push on the fob again in order to close. Neat feature. And then as of right now, so you're just looking at the option of rolling the windows down using the fob. So if you double push the unlock button and hold on the second press, you're going to go 1, 2, and hold. Watch this. Down the windows go, you can release it. You can lock it to pause it part way, or double push again in order to continue the process. That's pretty neat. I can't wait for the window up option to be there too, but at least remote close, I should say, but at least remote open is there. And then remote start, I kind of skipped over there, but you can toggle remote start off on the fob completely if you'd like to. You can use the Lincoln Way app in order to be able to remote start using your phone. And then you've also got your climate control. So when you remote start on the fob, does the vehicle determine what the climate should be, or is it based off of your last setting? Your heated seats, ventilated seats, etc., do they come on automatically or not at all? And then how long do you want that start to last? So 5, 10, or 15 minutes. Options for your wipers, courtesy wipe. So if you've got your windshield wipers going, at the end of the cycle, it's going to go one more time to get rid of any excess liquid. Do you want your rain sensing wipers on? Yay, nay. With this one, when you've got your front windshield wipers going, you put yourself into reverse. It's going to turn on those rear wipers for you too. Power split gate is available. Honestly, I love the new gate design in comparison to last year where it was just one big piece. Now it's split, but you can have it so that it's power. You can change it so that it's a manual only. And then you can also change whether it's the liftgate and the tailgate. So if it's going up and down for both pieces, or do you just want the up feature? So you can kind of adjust this out if you'd like. Options for your locks. Do you want to get, the big one here is audible feedback. So when you go to lock the vehicle, do you want to know that you've actually locked? And then when you go to unlock, do all doors become unlocked, or is it just the driver's door? Door keypad code. So there's a 5-digit code along the driver's side door. So you'll be able to set up your own unique code if you'd like. Backup start password is available there too. You do need to have your phone set up. So phone is a key enabled essentially. So where that would come into play is that if you're using your phone as a key and let's say your phone's died on you, you'd use that 5-digit number to get into the vehicle and then you enter your backup start password in order to actually start the vehicle up. So if you don't have your key fob on you. Neutral tows there, and then, so if you're towing the vehicle, and then you've also got your oil life reset. And you've got some different system settings. You've got different languages. It's one thing I like about it being a Google-based system is you've got so many different languages that are available. You've got text-to-speech options available there. You can adjust out your measurement units. So even your temperature, do you want to be in either Celsius or Fahrenheit? But then with your measurement units inside of the cluster screen, do you want to be in kilometers or miles? And as you adjust it out, you can see there, it's adjusting what's going on along the very top. And then the other one would be if you're going cross-border. So this is a Canadian spec vehicle, so that's why I'm in kilometers an hour. But if you wanted to have split speed, that would be available as an option. What do you want your tire pressure to be in? PSI, kPa, and then your weight. Do you want to measure things out in either pounds or kilograms? You can adjust out the time, and what I'd recommend here, keep yourself in the auto time zone. You could lock out to a different time zone if you'd like to. Where that comes into play is if you live somewhere where you straddle a time zone and it constantly flips you from one to the other. But other than that, just do it automatically. And then do you want to be in that military time? So do you want to be in that 12 versus 24-hour mode? There are reset options available. So the vehicle does have a hotspot available. So if that's giving you problems, you can reset. If your phone is giving you problems, whether that's phone as a key or different options here, you can reset different things, reset app preferences. There's a full factory reset. So if the infotainment system's giving you problems, you can just wipe everything. There is a way to do a soft reboot. I'll show you towards the end of the infotainment walkthrough. And let's see here. System updates are available, done over the air. Let's see, you've got basic about information, legal. There's storage available here because this is an Android device. You could download a bunch of different apps. That's 66 gigs of space inside of this ride. Show you where that comes into play in a second here. Software updates, etc. There are profile information. You can change out your profile name. If you just don't want it to be profile 1, Steve's ride, Patrick's ride, whatever the case may be. You've got your profile avatar. So you'd be able to change it out. So if you wanted something a little bit more unique, Great White Buffalo. And then you can link your profile, but the big one here is security. So you'll be able to put in a pattern or a PIN or a password for your individual profile. So if you've got multiple people driving the vehicle, or even just for general safety, put on a profile lock. So that means people just can't look through the screen here. Display options available here too. So the beeping that we get there, you can toggle that off. You can adjust the brightness here. You can adjust the mode. So right now it's in the auto mode. So it's going to figure out if you're in the dark or the light mode automatically. I mean, that dark mode, I think that looks really sleek. But you can lock it in to any of the other modes if you'd like to. Auto mode, like I said, it's going to change you up between light or dark, just depending on how bright it is outside. There are some different themes that are available too. So your theme selection, you've got your just basic theme here that we're looking at. You can move into tranquil theme. Nice and simple. There's engage, inspire. So if you wanted to customize this, oh yeah, look at that. That's beautiful. The constellation is nice, but I love that other theme. I don't know, what do you think? What's your preference? I really like the inspire one though, but you've got some different theme choices that are available. Or you can go into a calming screen. So if it's just too distracting for you, calming screen there. Button push. Let's get back to our settings. And, oh, there's so many more. Here we've got our display taken down. You've got network available, Wi-Fi. So if you wanted to download maps offline, you could download them if you've got connection. Connect to a Wi-Fi network at home. 911 assist. So if you're in a serious accident, it can dial 911 for you as long as a phone is connected. If there's no phone connected, it's going to try to reconnect to a previously paired device. But outside of that, if this isn't set up, it wouldn't dial 911 for you. You've got options for your voice assistant too. So you've got the option of saying, so rather than hitting the voice command prompt to do things, you could say, hey Google, and that's going to launch into that system. That's the basics there. You've got some location information. You could toggle all the location data off. There are notifications, basic privacy information. There is an ads manager here. It's a little concerning that it's there, but I've reviewed a boatload of different infotainment systems on the Android operating system. I haven't run into any ads yet. Concerning, but I wouldn't worry about it yet. You can add in your profile lock. There are some accessibility options, so if you want closed captions, all of your different apps, and then basic Google services. Yeah, nothing overly exciting in that part. I think that was it for the settings. You can open up individual elements. So you can open up just the main part of the liftgate, or open up both the liftgate and then the tailgate. So go up and down. You can adjust that out. Hopping here gives you a boatload of other settings too. You can hit this along the top in order to look at sorting them alphabetically. You could reset the default layout, manage apps, button push and hold if you wanted to adjust this out. You've got Google Maps, Play Store is available here if you wanted to download different apps directly to the vehicle. You've got the option for your assistant. There's Rejuvenate. So it's a little bit more of like a calming, relaxing look. But I mean, when you've got that Rejuvenate setting going, hold on, I got to show you this again. So hold on, let's hop out of this for a second. So if you want to just be able to relax, Rejuvenate. I mean, if you're just waiting for somebody, that is so damn cool. You can have it go for 5 or 10. And then when you also look at having the digital scent there too, and those things are playing together, it's just a relaxing experience. You can hot button press to get into your phone to different forms of media, messages, CarPlay, towing if you're towing a trailer, so up to 8,700 pounds inside of this ride. You can hop into all of your available settings, go that route. You've got games that are available too. And one cool thing, so you can download games here. You can actually even connect a Bluetooth controller directly to the screen. And then you'd be able to play right on this screen here. You've got USB available there too. So if you had a USB stick with different MP3s on there, different audio sources, just no video format, unfortunately. But the one video thing that you've got, full YouTube support. I don't think that's going to work. Is it going to work? Maybe it'll work. I wonder. I'm not biased or anything like that here. All right, let's do a search. All right, now I'm not biased doing the search at all. Look at that. Oh, I wonder. Oh, yeah. Paddle shifters. So inside of this ride, you do have a manual mode. So you don't have traditional paddle shifters inside of the Navigator, but manual mode, you could then switch out what gears that you're in. So if you've never used like a gear selector this way, this video that I've got on my channel talking about how to actually use paddle shifters, but typically is great. Now it's strictly going to be when you're parked, because the second you shift out of park, it's obviously going to kill off that feature. But that is really, really cool. You've got full YouTube playback support inside of this ride. Then you can hit this button, and that's going to bring up this arrange screen. Where that comes into play is for the right half of the wraparound screen. So you've got 3 individual widgetized areas that you can see. So you can customize what's there. Maybe you want to have a compass there. You can do that. The middle part, I don't know, maybe you want to have a trip counter there. Then you've got your clock. Maybe you'd prefer to have the weather there. So you can customize those 3 widgets if you'd like to. I'm personally a big fan of, let's see, so we've got that, and then I think a clock would make the most sense. So you can adjust that out in order to make it your own. When you've got a trip counter, even looking, so some of them have these 3 dots. So that's going to let you jump into clock settings, but with your trip counter, whether that's trip 1, trip 2, it's going to let you reset your counter. So you can easily recenter it out to 0 again. And then you've got all of your different media options and things like that. So having the flexibility of being able to customize this, I think is pretty neat. Then, if the infotainment system's giving you problems here, so let's say Android Auto's not working, Apple CarPlay's not working, or it's giving you some sort of other problem, you could hop through here. You're going to go to your system, and then you've got reset options. So you could do a full factory reset if you want to. The downside of doing a factory reset is that it gets rid of everything. So if you've set up profiles, connected phones, you've got addresses saved, things like that, it's going to get rid of everything. So that's the last thing that you want to do. What you actually want to do is a soft screen reboot. So in order to do it, you just take this little volume rocker along the middle here, and all you're going to do is push it quickly 5 times. And then, boom. It resets everything. So it would be the exact same as if you were doing a reset on your phone. So if you were to just do that, so essentially clearing the cache. So that should get rid of every issue that you're facing. So if any of the screens have kind of glitched out on you, so whether it's the infotainment system here or the 48-inch wraparound, that should solve the majority of the issues that you're facing. If that soft screen reboot doesn't work, try that full factory reset If that doesn't work, you'll have to take it into your Lincoln dealer. So I know that was a heck of a lot of information, but that's everything that you need to know about the infotainment system inside of a Lincoln Navigator.